So we're gonna go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes of the podcast. We're gonna dive in to 40 Acres. Now, this movie is so incredible, and I'm very happy to get the chance to talk about it with you, Alta. 40 Acres, it is a 2024 Canadian post-apocalyptic thriller, and it starts 14 years after a fungal pandemic that wipes out 98% of animal life. So now, the most valuable thing you can have is farmland. So the movie follows a family that is led by Haley Freeman, played by Danielle Deadwyler. She is an ex-soldier, and she enforces, an isolation policy for her family after her father was murdered by other farmers in their community. And their farmland is tended by her son and her two stepdaughters, and her husband and their children. They take care of the farmland, they take care of their crops, and essentially they have a rule where we just worry about our family and everybody else can worry about their own family. So the movie is definitely a different take on a doomsday thriller, because a lot of times when you watch a doomsday thriller, I think that people are more focused on monsters and zombies, and the action and stuff like that. But to have a thriller where farmland is key, and growing your own fruits and vegetables, tending to your livestock is what's keeping you alive, it's definitely very interesting, and I feel like it's a different spin on a doomsday thriller, and I enjoyed it mainly because I have a mother who loves to garden, who loves to grow things. So when I was watching this, I was like, if this ever happens, I'm so good, because our backyard is full of vegetables. So I don't even have to worry about it. I'm okay. We don't have any livestock because we live in the suburbs. So we can't be having no chickens or goats in our backyard. You know what I mean? Not that we have an HOA, but somebody's going to come down to our house and be like, "Excuse me, ma'am, is there an animal in your backyard?" And if I say no, are you gonna leave? Is that a no? But I love that spin on the doomsday thriller, because it's something that, encourages something. It encourages a more communal approach to the end of the world, and something that's a lot more proactive, rather than something that is so nihilistic and doom and gloom and sad. Because a lot of doomsday thrillers are very isolationist in nature, but this is isolationist in a different way, where it's protecting a family rather than just protecting your own skin.
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts on the movie when you first watched it?
I enjoyed 40 Acres. I thought it was very exciting as a movie. I mean, I reviewed it after I saw it. I ultimately gave it because I do my ratings out of 5. Ultimately gave it a 3 out of 5, and we'll talk about why. But I think they had a lot of very exciting parts. I think it was thrilling, which is something I always say when I go see thriller. When I review thrillers, I'm like, it was thrilling. And I agree it was different. What I'm thinking about is usually with these doomsday thrillers, they tend to be very white. And so, and I think one thing that a joke that I've heard people say is that in these post-apocalyptic movies that tend to be white, it's where are the black people? What happened to them? They're being isolationists. That's what they are. So it was, I'm sure somewhere there's a white family in the world, in the universe of 40 Acres, that's having an adventure or whatever. But it was great to see. I love the tying the family to the land, the land being so important, and kind of I don't know, not retribution, but like a justice aspect. That family made it. This Black and Indigenous family, mixed family, they made it. They are surviving. They actually have the most precious thing in this story, which is that farmland to sustain them.
Yeah, and you are right. A lot of thrillers are they do have mainly white audiences, a mainly white cast, and you have to ask yourself where the black people at? And it makes sense that the black people be minding their business, hey, you know what, y'all got it, you're good, you want to play around in this doomsday playground, that's fine, keep it on your playground, not mine. okay, we're okay over here. We're good over here. And me personally, one thing I liked a lot about the movie, something I liked, something I didn't really like, is like Haley, because I think that she's obviously very headstrong, but also like there is a certain how do you say this? There's a certain archetype when it comes
Yeah.
to people who are like doomsday preppers. You know what I mean? And it usually is like white people or like some couponing mom. And to have the protagonist be a black woman who was like ex-military, you know, she left her son with her father, and then when she came back, she went from one war zone to another. And it can be difficult when somebody like leaves, you know, a combat zone and re-enters like civilian life. It can be
Yeah.
hard to make that adjustment because you don't really know how to interact when every day isn't like do or die, life or death. But now that her reality has become like do or die, life and death, very much a doomsday thriller in her everyday life, she's adjusted to it very well. But her kids haven't, not really. Like, I feel like the oldest son, he still kind of remembers what life was like before all this happened, and because his siblings are a little bit younger, they're like more adjusted to it because they don't know anything outside of like living on the farmland, taking care of the animals, taking care of the crops, you know, like just the family, and like that's it. Like the son, the brother, he's used to something different because he remembers how his life was previously. So he's a little like, he's a little rebellious, you know what I mean? Because there's always that one. And Haley, or Danielle Deadwyler, I feel like she does such a good job of just like being like that mom, you know, like that mom who's like really strict, but also like she's an ex-soldier, and also she has to like maintain this family, and she's also like the protagonist of the movie. Like she wears so many hats in this film, but she does it so well. And it's different from how you would watch other doomsday thrillers where like the leader is someone who's like very smart, very resourceful, but ultimately like kind of a prick. And Danielle Deadwyler, she's not exactly warm and fuzzy.
No, not by a long shot.
No. But she's still like, you could tell like there is love in like what she says. There's still some kind of like nurturing, how do I say this? There is like the intention to nurture. There's an intention to show care and to show love and to show affection. But it's not in a way where it's so warm and it's like hugs and everything. It's a way where it's like, I'm being honest with you and being real with you because I want to protect you. Because that's how I show that I love you. Because I need you here with me. Like, I need you on your game.
I actually don't see her as nurturing at all.
Really?
I think I don't.
Okay.
I think it's very much military, very much prepping. And so I think the philosophy of the like, I'm going to be hard on you because the world is going to be harder on you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like, I hope you didn't like prompt me to say anything because I legit lost my connection
Go ahead.
somehow.
Go.
So I came back in just as you were saying like
No,
this.
you're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see her as nurturing. She's very much like, I need to prepare you to be able to survive in this world when I'm gone. And so, which I think is one of the lack of nurturing and the strictness is, of course, one of the issues that her son has with her, because I think the son is a symptom of like, I'm not even sure it's because he remembers how it was before, because I don't remember how old he was when the world went to hell, basically. But I think it's a case of like, he takes for granted how much danger there is because that's all he knows. And I think it speaks a little bit to his level of comfortability in the post-apocalyptic world. It's all he knows. And so he flouts his mom's rules and he just wants better and go beyond the farm. But it's like, it's very dangerous out there, but he doesn't see it that way because that's all he knows. So like, he doesn't, even though he was alive in the before, most of his memories is in the after. And so he takes for granted that he does need to prepare himself for when his mom is no longer there to lead, and his stepfather to lead the family.
Yeah. And I will say it's ironic that she essentially has this attitude of like you said, I'm going to be hard on you because the world's going to be harder. And the son does take it for granted. And like, as I was watching the movie, in my head, I was just thinking like, the son really needs to get it together because we're literally living in the midst of an apocalypse. And I understand that you want to fight with your mom and you want to go back and forth with your mom, but there's a difference between doing it and this is just like a coming of age movie and doing it a doomsday thriller. Like, bro, she's ex-military. She knows what she's talking about. And when I'm watching the movie, like, I get what you're saying. Like, you don't feel like she's nurturing. Like, yes, 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 yes. But also, remember, like, she definitely had that baby before she went into like the army or went to
deployed or what?
yeah. So in my mind, like obviously watching the movie, I'm like, okay, she had this baby, but she doesn't know how to raise a baby. She doesn't know how to be nurturing. She doesn't know how to be like a caring mother or to be like motherly. So she went, to combat, and then she came back, and because she came back, like after like the pandemic happened, and like there was a disease that wiped out all the animals, and like farmland is the most like a valuable thing you can have. Now she has come back into this like scenario where like she knows what to do. She knows how to handle this. She knows how to manage the situation. Raising a kid, not so much. You know what I mean? But raising a soldier or like, commanding somebody or being in charge of someone, she can do that just fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say like what you started saying before I don't know what happened. Before I cut off, before my internet, whatever. Mm-hmm. When you were saying that she was in combat, or this part of the military, I don't know if there was a war happening like before, but whatever. But she went from that, let's say, traumatic work environment, came home and boom, everything goes to crap. It's like she kind of stayed in her comfort zone of dealing with trauma and dealing with disaster and dealing with fighting, like surviving. Yeah, and I think in that sense of her, you see her as nurturing. She doesn't lean into it as much. I don't think she's nurturing at all. But in the sense of what we're both saying, that I think that's why Galen, her husband, is a good balance to her, because we do see him being soft with the kids. We didn't get to see much interaction between him and the son.
Yeah.
But we do see him like joking around and making the girls laugh. And so I have my issues with the way the family was portrayed. But yeah, so I think in that way he was a good balance and to her in terms of interactions with the kids, even though he himself was also a badass.
Yes. And I think Galen is I think you're absolutely right. Galen is a really great contrast. He does add a lot of balance because she's like the steely matriarch, and although he is like the patriarch and he is like, a proud indigenous man and he is a proud warrior, he is a lot like softer in a way. Like he seems to be someone who is easy to manage, like more like conversational issues, you know what I mean? And she'll handle issues of something where it's like a lot more of like directional things like that. I liked Galen a lot. I do like his daughters as well. I thought they were very sweet. And when I was watching the movie, like when I saw them like walking around with the guns, I was like, "Ooh, take that gun away from that baby." But in my head, it's like, Manika, it's okay. Like it's part of the film. It's part of the movie. It's part of the ambiance, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think it does speak to like a conversation people have a lot about like, gun ownership and like gun control and like what you should have in order to protect yourself, because there are those people that have just like a room full of guns. The thing is, I live in Georgia, so like I've met many and many of people who know how to, carry a gun, shoot a gun, who like walk around with that thing on them. They have it in their car, they have it on their person. Like I've walked into a Kroger and I've seen someone walk past me with a gun on their hip. You know what I mean? Like it's commonplace here. So when I'm watching it in the movie, it's not like it's something that's like, oh, like I clutch my pearls, but like at the same time, it's so interesting to watch the film, to watch this movie, because there are people who own a lot of guns, and in their mind they're like, oh, when things start, getting crazy and getting wild, or like, oh, when things start to turn up, when the Civil War happens, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be locked and loaded. I'm gonna be ready. And like I think people, when they think of like, ooh, a Civil War, they think of a World War Z. Like something like that, like something, a lot of action, people running, people hiding, people shooting at each other. Like they think it's going to be all of that. And it could very much be something where it's like, now I'm going to stay in my house and mind my business. And as long as you don't cross the property line, you ain't going to get these bullets. It could be very much just that, because, a
It could very much be like in the sense of like defense as opposed to offense, which is what you think about when you think about like end of the world type of stuff.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people when they think of the end of the world, they think it's their time to like play Call of Duty IRL. And then there are more people that just want to mind their business and live their life. And like, if you come near me, if you try something, then we're going to have issues. And this family is very much like that. Where it's like, we have our land, we have our gate, we got our cameras, we got our walkie-talkie, we have everything we need. We don't need to interact with nobody. We don't need to invite nobody on here, none of that. So, if you cross this line, you're going to eat these bullets. No?